삭스 미국 컬럼비아대 교수가 이번 주 우리나라를 방문했죠. UN 지속가능 발전 네트워크 SDSN과 우리 정부의 무상원조 전담기관인 코이카가 공동으로 주최한 이 지속가능한 개발을 위한 재원회의 이른바 서울 포럼에 참석하기 위해서였는데요. 삭스 교수는 SDSN 대표와 또 반기문 UN 사무총장의 특별 고문으로도 활동하고 있습니다. 저희 SBS MBC는 제프리 삭스 교수와 이 코이카의 김영목 이사장이 함께한 특별 좌담을 열었습니다. 그 주요 내용을 김영규 기자가 정리했습니다.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let us begin with Professor Sachs. How did your relationship with Korea and KOICA begin in the first place?
Well, my relationship with Korea goes back more than 30 years because I've been visiting Korea, studying Korea, many colleagues, many students, star students, and the relationship with KOICA and President Kim has been very close in recent years. We've worked together, and KOICA has very generously supported the Millennium Villages project, and we have been working together on promoting the Samayul Undong, the New Village Movement concepts in Africa, because these are very valuable concepts from Korea's experience that can now be of great benefit for African development.
Do you have anything to add to this?
Well, since Professor Sachs is not only a great economist, but a good friend of Korea, he's a good advisor and very close staff to Secretary General Ban. We share the common vision of helping people let them out of poverty and giving them chance to connect with the social value. So he has been already doing this. We having the program, so we talked, why don't we combine together and cooperate each other?
Well, the main reason we've gathered today is because of the Seoul Forum held by UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network and KOICA. So Professor Sachs, you serve as director of the network. Could you briefly introduce about the role of the network?
We've had 15 years now of the Millennium Development Goals, but starting this September, we'll go to a new era, the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This is the idea of all 193 member states of the United Nations to adopt sustainable development goals to help guide the world for the next 15-year period. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon asked me to help organize a network of universities and think tanks to help prepare the way for the new Sustainable Development Goals. And that's what the Sustainable Development Solutions Network is all about. But as part of this year's transformation, there's also a conference on how to finance sustainable development. That will be in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in July. We were asked as a network to advise the government of Ethiopia and to advise the United Nations and the countries facilitating this conference, which happen to be Norway and Guyana, to provide some advice. So in recent months, we have been analyzing the financial issues around sustainable development. We had a major meeting in London, and now we have a major meeting here in Seoul, co-hosted with KOICA. This is an opportunity to review the major issues that will come up in Addis Ababa, and for our group, together with KOICA and all of the participants from the private sector, from the universities, from international organizations, from several developing countries, to make recommendations for what can be included in the outcomes of the meeting on sustainable development financing in Ethiopia in July.
Professor Sachs, as you mentioned earlier, you're an special advisor to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon on the Millennium Development Goals. And UN member states committed themselves to the Millennium Development Goals, which are to be achieved by the end of this year. How do you assess the outcome so far?
The Millennium Development Goals were adopted 15 years ago to fight extreme poverty. And the truth is that people living in extreme poverty are almost invisible in the world. They don't command the airwaves. They don't get on television very much, except if it's a disaster. They don't have political power. And so the world neglects the very poor people. so do markets. Poor people don't have the money to buy things, so companies ignore them and skip over them. So the Millennium Development Goals was to bring attention to the problems of the poorest of the poor and find creative ways to help people out of poverty. They've made a big difference because they have increased the awareness, they've increased the focus of resources, they've helped to spur many creative initiatives like the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB, and malaria, or the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations, both of which have saved millions and millions of lives since the start of the Millennium Development Goals. Poverty has come down, there's progress even in the poorest places. Not everything was achieved of what was hoped and of the targeted goals.
So what are the most urgent issues that need to be addressed in the post-2015 agenda?
The idea is to combine economic development, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. That's almost the definition of sustainable development. So on the economic side, it's continuing to fight poverty and to promote growth, for example, by investing in infrastructure. On the social inclusion, it is gender equality, which still is a goal yet to be fulfilled in some parts of the world. And it's also goals of ending discrimination against minorities and also to close the big inequalities in society. When it comes to the environmental objectives, environmental sustainability, it is to shift from the fossil fuel world that we have right now of coal, natural gas, and oil to renewable energies or nuclear power or hydropower, which are clean energies from the point of view of not causing global warming. And so we have to shift from the fossil fuels to low carbon energy that doesn't cause the global warming, because otherwise the planet is going to be very destabilized by all of the climate change that we're causing by burning the fossil fuels.
What do you think about these new challenges? These are all daunting challenges. It's not easy for any government to shift overnight to a new paradigm. But I think that we need have a consensus, at least on the global level, not to lose the chance of coming into one agreement that we need to change. And every government should have take responsibility, and we must pull together wisdom, technology, and commitment, and also financial resources so that everything can be moving for that direction.
So how is KOICA preparing for the post-2015?
Well, KOICA is a very small and learning institution, and it cannot be an institution, a small organization, but we do our best because we would like to recognize all this problem. I think we can play a part, particularly as a catalytic, playing a catalytic role between public sectors and then private sector. So we'll continue to this, and then we'll be a platform for all the international, domestic, public, private actors can come and play and work with us together.
All right, Professor Sachs, President Kim, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to your future endeavors.